now we've got Lynn. Can you hear us, Lynn?
We could download the song.
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Excellent, that's wonderful. Okay, well, I think we may as well start. We're just a little bit early, but I don't know that we're going to get anybody else to attend, and if they do, you know, we'll fill them in as we go. So welcome everybody to our very first PAVE meeting, Mayo, for the year. And what I'd like to do is to welcome Tamara. Tamara's a remarkable lady. I won't go on about what her background is at this stage. I think I'll leave it to Tamara to actually play the little video that she's got to start with, and we'll see how we go from there. I think that'll tell you an awful lot about Tamara. So, over to you.
Oh, sorry.
I might talk first. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really awesome to be here. I realise we've got quite a few people here and there. So thank you for joining us. And I do believe this is your 25th year of PAVE meetings. So it's a real honour to just sit here with you and share today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I've just, you know, I was a bit daunted when Catherine asked me to talk, and it's been a great exercise. I've been able to work through my life and notify myself of various times of interest. I hope you'll find them interesting in any case. So what I'm going to do is take you on a bit of an adventure today.
Terrific.
So you're going to join me on my vet life adventure, and I hope that you will find truth and inspiration for your life too. We'll go chronologically. The beginning.
Tamara was born.
I was born in Gilgandra, New South Wales. Anyone know where that is? Yeah. So I was the firstborn child to Brian and Margaret Carlin. They were both school teachers in Canamble High School. My parents decided that because I was their firstborn, they would take me 60 miles to be born, where the hospital was a bit bigger and a bit more impressive with more experienced doctors and equipment. This proved to be a good decision because I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, strangling me, and at the time I probably wouldn't have survived at the Canamble Hospital. So you see, the story would have ended about here, but it didn't. So I'm going to now go to my early years. This is kind of quite fascinating for me. When I thought back about this time, I was a small child and we moved to Sydney, and I just loved running around in the garden and looking at the creatures in the garden. And my poor mother, actually, I set up my own little vet surgery in the garden. I would run around and gather creatures that were dying and bring them inside and put them in empty yogurt pots that Mum had washed out. And instead of having like a shelf of teddy bears in my bedroom, I had a shelf containing half-dead lizards and insects and bits of sticks and whatever I gathered in the garden. And they were my hospital cases. Every night my mother would come in and empty them out. So I proceeded from there to tell everyone I was going to be a vet. And it's just a weird thing because, you know, I'm a vet, but it doesn't happen like that for everyone. I realised this later in life. During my childhood, I had a few pets of interest. We had guinea pig. We had Fred the budgie, which was killed by feral cats when I was 5 years old. We had a tortoise. And one day, the garbage truck driver knocked on the front door with a puppy in his arms. And he said, "This puppy has been following my garbage truck all morning. Is it yours?" And we said, "No, but we'll look after him and we'll try and find him a home." Do you know, can you guess what breed of puppy this dog was?
Big.
Well, he was a sniffy type of dog. He liked smelling things. And you will see these dogs in airports today. This was a beagle, yes, it was a beagle. So we had Thompson the beagle. He was totally crazy and barked and vomited in the car. And, you know, it just was an interesting time. I think I preferred it when the feral cat from the neighbourhood had babies in the back garden. And we found mama cat with 4 kittens. And we adopted 2 of those and we found homes for the other 2. This was all part of my childhood. So I guess not a bad progression to being a vet. I went off to school like kids do. I was sent to MLC school in Burwood. And, there's a big yay from over there. It was a great school. I had a fabulous time at school, and my daughter is now at the same school. So that's pretty nice. I did well at school, academically, musically, sports. It was all happening, and I made lifelong friends from school. I expect there's people here today that have done the same. So I'm very grateful for my school life. When I was in year 11, we had a meeting with the careers advisor. And the careers advisor looked at my achievements, and she suggested I study medicine or I become a concert pianist and possibly a vet. Vet was also there, but these two, a concert pianist. Oh, that'd be nice. Anyway, because I got good enough marks, I could choose whatever. So I chose vet school, and I thought that'll be easy. I have to tell you, quite honestly, studying at university was not easy for me. I filled my life with so many things that I wasn't very disciplined about studying, and I am now going to confess to you all that I failed at university, and I had to repeat, and I had to really dig deep and test my decision and my resolve to continue with this career choice, because it was a lot harder than I thought. Anyway, I kept going. I throughout university, I kept up with other interests, which probably was a bit of my failing, but it's also been my success. So I took up the post as a church organist and choir mistress at St Anne's Church at Ryde. You see, you're wondering about the vet stuff, aren't you? It hasn't happened. It's sort of happening. We're getting there. This is very important that you know this stuff. You'll see why. So I took up the post of church organist, and I'm still the church organist there. I started teaching a choir. I used to play piano for them, and then I conducted them, and I still teach and conduct a choir. We sing in German, by the way. And then I joined a German folk dancing group, and although COVID has put a little bit of a dampener on our productions, my daughter now dances with us in the folk dancing group. So
That's
one
really
of my,
nice.
yes, you're right. She's interrupted with a small aside that's very important. It's the link, isn't it? Yes, there's a link. So one of my favourite tutors at university was so encouraging to me about maintaining that balance in life and maintaining the musical interests that I had and not giving them up for vet. Because a lot of the lecturers were just hardline, nothing else but vet matters, you should eat, sleep, drink, vet. And I kind of don't think that's been my journey, and I don't think it's great advice either. So I didn't make it my journey. I maintained my musical and other interests. However, during university, we're up to university now, I'm not quite a vet, but I'm getting there. I decided I wanted to move out of home, but rent is really expensive in Sydney. When you're a vet student, you can live in a vet hospital. You get a little stingy, dingy bit of accommodation. Maybe there's 2 vet students there, if you're lucky. And you have to answer the phone every second night. You have to be answering the phone whenever it rings. You have to go into the hospital and look after the sick animals overnight. You might be on a rotation to check them every 2 hours. And you have to attend to emergencies when they arrive at the clinic, because it's a big clinic, and liaise with the vet. So this is just fabulous. This is gold dust for vet students, because you can practice dealing face-to-face with people. You can practice attending to really stressful situations in the middle of the night when you've had no sleep. It's great. You can practice staying sane on the phone. Honestly, I fell asleep on the phone call to some people. I remember falling asleep because I heard this voice going, "Did you hear me? Did you hear me?" And I woke up to finish the phone call. But sometimes people just need someone to listen to them and work through their problems. It was a great adventure. And I learned a lot of skills, injecting medicines, preparing surgery packs, setting up drips, and just mainly dealing with sort of very interesting and varied situations. One particular case comes to mind. I was called out in the middle of the night, the doorbell rang, and there was this massively muscled bikie. He looked very mean, and I'm not a big sort of girl. Anyway, the mean bikie, I'm going to tell you, had in the back of his bike a little box, and he lifted up the box and pulled out a cardboard box, and he was devastated, and he handed me this box, and inside was his pet bird. But very sadly, the pet bird was very dead, and I had to tell him that it's died. I picked it up by its leg, and it was stiff, you know. It was just such a moment, and you realise that people are people.
Yes.
You can't ever assume anything about anyone.
Yes.
It's been a good lesson. But the warmth of this guy was remarkable. He was so devastated about his pet. And another time the police arrived. Now the police are pretty brave, and they've got the paddy wagon there, and they were just shaking in terror. They had a German Shepherd in the back of that paddy wagon that was alive and well, and they wouldn't go near it. But I got it out and took care of it. So that was okay. Finally, I became a vet. Yay! I feel now I'm qualified. I might put my vet top on. I'll just see. Here we go.
Amazing.
Okay, right. Hang on. I'm a vet now. I can put my vet top on. Here we are.
Wow.
Good. Okay. There's actually some pictures of cats on this top, but I have another one with dogs as well. So don't feel that you got left out. What to do when you become a vet is you have to apply for a job, and I can tell you now, jobs were very scarce when I graduated. It was really tough. I applied for 2 jobs, and I got offered 2 jobs. Now, academically, I didn't look good, I can tell you. And when I went to my first job interview, I forgot all my paperwork, and I just sat there and chatted, and I got the job. So obviously, they're not going to employ us on our academic skill, but maybe there's something else they wanted. I had to decide, was I going to work in Canberra or Sydney? So I decided to stay in Sydney. And I worked in the eastern suburbs in a little practice in Randwick. And I had a female boss. And I'm going to tell you a bit about that, because it's going to come back what I talked to you about earlier when I get to this. So just put yourself in my position. I'm pretty pleased. I got the job. And I start work, and I think I know something, but I know nothing. I know nothing. I had to learn everything. Everything you know from day-to-day life is not taught to you at university. I'm not really sure. There's all this sort of theoretical stuff that I learned, but how to give an injection, well, I knew that. That was good. And all sorts of other things. Surgical skills do not come unless you practice. It's like riding a bike or learning an instrument. So, and I'm really terrible when I first started off doing surgery. I'm shaking, and you don't want to miss anything because an animal will die. If you get it wrong, they'll simply bleed to death. It's pretty scary. I used to work these ridiculous hours, 8 in the morning till 7 at night, 5 days a week, on call every second night, and then every second weekend, 9 till 12. For the second week in the roster, it was 9 till 7. That was great. I was so exhausted. The pay was terrible. My boss was really not kind to me and not supportive. I was left alone for long hours in a little clinic dealing with all sorts of things, like burglars coming and robbing the till. I chased them down the street. Stuff like that would happen. During that time, one of my colleagues, who had been a really popular guy at uni, he killed himself that year. And my boss wouldn't let me leave Sydney to drive to the country to go to his funeral, because it meant taking 2 days off work. That's the kind of situation I was in, and it eroded me. I learned things, and I was learning vet skills, but on another level, I was just being eaten away. So after 2 years, although I'd learned a few things, I have to say I was depressed, I was worn out, I was totally ready to give up completely. All that I had spent my whole life aiming to achieve. And I just could not do anymore, so I left the job. I simply gave notice. I had no other job. And I thought, great, no more crying on the way to work, no more feeling of dread, no more crying when I get home, no more collapsing with low blood pressure. I feel okay now. It's all right. So I stayed home with my parents and kept up with my music. You see, music came to save the day. I kept my music going. Can you hear me over there, Vivian? She's on a phone call. She has to mute her audio. So another turning point's about to happen. My mum went off and had lunch with a few friends, one of whom was the wife of a local vet. And this vet needed a part-time vet to help him out. And that was perfect. I just couldn't face a full-time job anymore. I'd just been killed by the first one. And remember, one of my friends had died. A second friend wrote to me during this period and said he'd attempted to suicide, but he failed. He didn't quite manage. He sat in the car and put the fumes going in the window, and it was pretty traumatic. Down the track, that guy went well. I played the organ for his wedding. He's got a lovely wife and kids. Anyway, I was going to start a new life because I went part-time to work for a chap called Bill Hood. Now, this is just perfect for me. Little did I know that Bill would actually change the shape and the direction of my whole career. Bill Hood was one of the first vets in Australia to do acupuncture in animals. And he had a very busy practice in Cogra. The place was very busy. It was very interesting. Locum rates were much better than that full-time paid job I had. I was feeling good about myself, and I watched what happened. People came from everywhere to have Bill do these acupuncture treatments. One treatment he did was implanting these gold beads at acupuncture sites. You would give an animal an anaesthetic and you got jewellery gold beads from a jeweller. It had to be really high quality gold, and you cut it up into small pieces and you injected them into precise acupuncture points. This was a surgical wound, but it healed up pretty quickly. And the breeders loved this because when they took these dogs to the show, they'd pat them over the top of their head. There were these gold beads in here. And when they patted them, it stimulated the acupuncture points. And so they had virtually an acupuncture treatment right then and there. There was these amazing nervous show dog treatments. We had treatment for dogs with bad hips where he implanted gold beads. Sore dogs, limpy dogs, mostly dogs actually. He did a lot of treatment on dogs, and I watched dogs limp in and walk out.
Wow.
So I've got to say this was real and this was very inspiring, and I knew this was something to investigate. Tragically, Bill died of a malignant brain tumour 5 months after diagnosis. He didn't opt for any standard Western treatment for that brain tumour. He chose alternate therapies, and he had a longer outcome than was predicted and a very peaceful end. I was witness to that. So I did a bit more locuming around Sydney, and I decided to go to England. Still haven't worked out how I'm going to learn acupuncture, but in any case, I went to England. England is fantastic. Everyone loves their pets so much in England. They hold their pets in such high esteem in their life that vets are also elevated. I should stand up now. I'm in England. Anyway, I'll just sit down here. But in England, it was just remarkable. I had a different kind of status in the community that I've never experienced here. People are wonderful here, don't get me wrong, but there's something about being a vet in England. But all sorts of funny things happened there. I learnt many things. Some stories will crop up, I'm sure. I came home again, and I was just home because my cousin got married, and I said to her, I will play the organ for your wedding. So I came home to play the organ for her wedding, and in the mailbox came the application to study the vet acupuncture course, which only came around about every 4 years. So that kept me in Australia, and I studied this course, and I worked. At the time, I went back to Canberra to the vet that never did get to employ me in the beginning, and I worked for him. And I've got a small story about him. He's a lovely, lovely man, and his daughter is now a vet. But at one stage, I babysat his daughter while he went on holidays. So, yeah, we did have a bit of fun in those days. I had a couple of TV appearances. It appears that you've seen one of my TV appearances, and I think Greg might revise that for you now, because this is the kind of thing I'm doing now. In fact, I've been doing this for some time. So you might have a little peek at this, and then I'll keep going. I think it'll come up. But if you haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it for a second time, I'm sure. Here we are. It looks like me yesterday. That's not me, the really nice, that's me. Look, the vet top.
Gorgeous little cat. It's very unusual looking. What kind of cat is it? It's an Australian mist. Today's Ricky's fourth visit to vet acupuncturist Tamara Carlin. He's been treated for his chronic allergies. The aim of the acupuncture is to boost his immune system by releasing the body's own endorphins. How has he been responding so far?
He's responded very well. He's drying up. He's a lot less noisy when he breathes. Yeah, he's good.
Does he know what he's in for?
Of course he does. He's a very intelligent cat. Doesn't he always like it when I say
Doesn't he? He's not so sure about it.
the trick with cats is to be quick.
So entertaining, this cat.
Oh
my goodness.
And particular products excellent for his general body immunity.
You do find that at some points easier to access than others.
I believe so. Although he's put in a word of mouth.
No, he's not.
The last thing we're going to put in
Looks
is on either side of his
amazing.
nostril.
Gorgeous.
Sounds tricky.
Bit tricky, bit awkward, but very beneficial for his nose.
That's the next problem, isn't it?
Like that. You're feeling grumpy now.
Do you find that your clients respond reasonably well, or do they use a bit of focus?
Often people come as last resort and then they're pleasantly surprised how effective acupuncture is as a treatment.
The final part of the treatment is a dose of a burning herb called a moxel, which helps dry out Ripley's sinuses.
That's generating so much just warmth. Not the kind of heat from burning a cigarette, a very different kind of heat, an energy heat, a helpful heat, I guess we might call it. I have a good technique worked out where I actually put my fingers over his arms like that, wave this over his nose. He's not impressed. Good boy. We have a little break. It's okay.
It was really good.
It's actually very important. Hang on. Ripley. Relax. This is I'm on my way. I'm going home. You'll see his little nostrils twitch when we do it. And it really helps dry out his sinuses. So it's a very helpful treatment. It's mainly that smoke, I think, that annoys him.
She does, doesn't she?
Plus, he's feeling better.
Yeah, he's getting better by it. A lot more feisty.
Look at him. So lovely.
Oh, there you go.
That's wonderful.
The lining.
Well done.
That's the kind of, yeah, it's
going to go out and buy some lobster sticks.
lobster sticks. So you probably wonder what I do, but that's a good example. I treat dogs. I've treated all sorts of dogs and cats for normal vet things. They come for their vaccinations and their checkups and their dentistry and their stitching up because they got injured and their tumours getting cut off and their desexing. And I do all of those sort of things, and now I do combination of alternate holistic veterinary care. So we might look at herbal supplements, immune supplements, nutritional supplements, homeopathics, acupuncture. I do some Reiki on the pets. They may or may not notice, but they seem to be calmer. And so I'll work in a clinic and just do whatever comes in the door, although I do have a following of people that come for these kind of treatments these days. And it's a bit of fun. I do a few house call treatments as well for some of those bigger, older dogs. It's hard, or even a cat actually, because some cats don't like coming to a vet and they're a bit naughty at the vets. So it's quite a variety of things I do. And really, I just was thinking about some of the things I do and thinking, gosh, life has got a rather messy, sort of silly, messy sense of humour sometimes, and the most unpredictable things happen all the time in my work. I thought, oh great, I'm going out for a night at the ballet. And I thought, I've only got to consult from 4:30 till 7, and I'll jump in the car and get out to the ballet. It'll be wonderful. I better wash my hair so I'm all ready, and I just change into my glamorous gown afterwards out of this. So I did this, and my hair was flowing, and I was treating the animals, and everything was fine until my last patient for the day. It's always the way. And this one was like, my anal sacs are full. I don't have any of you got dogs? Do you know this procedure? This is the classic vet procedure. We have to clean out the anal sac. It's the stinkiest thing you've ever done, and you never know where it's going to land when you do it.
Oh, no.
So one of my tricks is never look at what I'm doing in that department, because if I look round near the backside of a dog, I'll probably get sprayed in the face. So I learnt that pretty early on. It's pretty good. I wasn't looking, just doing it by feel. Had a fabulous, successful mission. The dog was feeling better. The material from that dog's anal sac went up the walls, through my hair, all over everything. I have no idea. And I just went, yes, this is the kind of thing that happens to me. It's because I'm going out tonight to the ballet. If I was sitting home, it wouldn't have happened. But that's what happens. So then I said, what lessons have I learned? My first lesson is open your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your fingers. Good observation is far better than a barrage of tests.
And don't buy tickets to the ballet.
Don't ever buy tickets to the ballet. That's a great idea. Shame about that. The next lesson I learned was to listen. I noticed something about this talk that Catherine had written. Dr. Tamara Carlin talks to the animals. That was the talk. And I thought about this, and I thought, actually, I think the animals talk to me, yes. And I think I listen to the animals. Yes. It was a bit round the other way, so that's why I think I listen. And I'm not just listening to the animals, I'm listening to the owner. Why have they come? What's so important? What do they want for their pet? And I have to have a very open channel of communication with them. The next thing is, don't rush. So there's some times where it's really difficult to work out what's going on, and I've got piles of people coming in the door. My best effort is to admit the animal to hospital, leave it sitting there while I keep going, and I'll even go get a coffee or have lunch or have a walk, and then I'll come back and think some more. That seems to work for me anyway. Don't rush. Stay calm. That's a good one, isn't it? Stay calm. I don't know if these are useful things for you guys, but I found these things very useful in my career. If you stay calm, animals know if you're stressed, and they will suddenly become very stroppy and difficult to work with. If you just take a deep breath and stay calm, it's going to be easier. One of my stay calm moments was when I was in England, and I have not a lot of experience with horses, but I have some experience, and I was going to say all bodies are bodies and I can treat them. It's okay. Just use your basic principles. I was called out to see a horse who had colic, and I examined this horse, and I had to decide to take a blood test and give it an injection. Now, when you take a blood test from a horse, does anyone know about this procedure? You apply a twitch to their nose. It's a funny little device, a piece of rope that you twist around the tip of their nose. It's probably the equivalent of here in your nose. And if you do that to a horse, they won't worry about it, but they'll focus on it. They'll be doing this. While they're focused on that bit of their nose that's held in the twitch, you can quickly take blood from their jugular vein and give them an injection, so it just distracts them. So we learned all about this at university. Of course we did. And in Australia, we were given twitch items at the university, and we learned how to apply them so that we look like we know what we're doing when we go out to someone's house. When I'm in England, I had a van equipped with all the equipment I could need, including the English version of the twitch. I went to my truck and I opened it up, and I figured out this thing had to be the twitch. And for the life of me, I had no idea how that was meant to apply to the horse's nose to do the job it was supposed to do. Now, at this moment, you could freak out and look unprofessional, but I just stayed calm. And I just went, over to the owner and I said, "Here, pop this on, will you?" So they did it straight away. They didn't have to know that I had no idea how to use their version of the twitch. And I was left-handed and all a bit, I'm so back to front that when I took blood from the horse, it was on the opposite side to usual because of the way my hands are when I'm left-handed. It didn't matter, the horse was fine. I took the blood, I gave the injection, I went back to work, and the very next day, my boss came over to me and said, "Oh, Tamara, you went out to that horse yesterday." "Oh, yes," says I, in trepidation. I thought, uh-oh, what's he going to say? "Oh, they were so delighted with your service. You were very thorough and lovely, and the blood tests have been very useful. We've been able to diagnose what was wrong with that horse. So back to basics and stay calm." I also reckon you should be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Life doesn't always go as you would wish or expect. And sick animals are like that. Some of them die, some of them don't. It's not always what I can do. Ultimately, terrible things can happen, and I have to just allow that. And I have to be kind to myself, and I have to be kind to my team. It's tough. I always thank the girls that I'm working with and the guys. It's a really hard time sometimes. Emotionally speaking, I don't know any job where we are faced with death so frequently, and to be able to make a choice about such a thing in a humane and beautiful way and make that a special time, the end of an animal's life. I've nursed a lot of animals and I've euthanized my own pets, and it's pretty tough, but it's actually a privilege. So these are things that I have learned, and so that's why I would say today, respect life and respect death, and give dignity and peace and comfort at that time. So there's a few stories, and I had something else to tell you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Anyway, these are good things. Finally, I decided all people are people, which I told you before, and all are coming and caring for their pets. I've treated James Packer's dogs. I've treated people in Housing Commission on the pension. I feel everyone's the same, and they're so committed because of that unconditional love that they're in that relationship with their pet. Regarding the unconditional love, that's a bit of an example to us. We're not very good at that, but somehow I feel we're being taught by our pets. Also, don't forget to laugh. I'll try that too. Do you think that we've got benefits by owning pets or interacting with pets? Well, it's actually been documented that people with pets have got less depression, and even though the vets may have more depression, but actually people owning their pets seem to do better. They've got better immune systems. They're more active. Quite often they're more social. You can be out walking your dog, and I've found this myself. If I have a dog and I'm walking, people will talk to me. If I'm just walking, it's a bit of a hello, maybe if you're lucky, but quite often you can actually stop and have a chat to people, and they may not have a dog, but it just is that link to humanity connecting. It's the most beautiful thing. So I feel very privileged. And I was just drawn to remember that there was a big poster we had at work. I can't remember all the stuff on it. It had a great list of all the things that vets are. They said that a vet is a physician, a pharmacist, a dentist, a radiologist, an oncologist, a dermatologist, a counsellor, a GP, a nutritionalist, a surgeon, soft tissue, whatever, cosmetic, orthopaedic, a behaviouralist, a pathologist, a nurse, a trauma specialist, preventative medicine practitioner, a mortician. But I'm also an acupuncturist, a homeopath, a Reiki giver, a herbalist. So we're lots of things, us vets. Life is definitely going to keep throwing all sorts of problems at you, and you've just got to be creative and have a go. Do you want another vet story now?
Yes.
Would you like another vet story?
Yes.
Oh, I knew you came for the vet stories, didn't you? My sister had a great collection of poultry on her property in the Blue Mountains, and one day she rang me up in tears. The fox had gotten in and attacked all the turkeys, and a number of the female turkeys were dead, but the male turkey, he was still alive, but injured, badly injured. I hesitated for no moment. I jumped in the car, drove to her house with a big cage and a big black sheet, and I ran into the pen and captured the turkey and took him back to Sydney. Anyway, I nursed him in a little pen in my garden and had a good look at this turkey. He had lots of feathers missing, the poor guy. We called him Mr. Gobbles, and he was quite sad. I carried him into work and we stuck his head in the gas mask on our anaesthetic machine. His turkey head was in there and he breathed it in and went to sleep so we could x-ray him. Well, I've got x-ray pictures. I didn't bring them back. He'd fractured his toe. Now, the main bone through his toe, he couldn't bear weight through that leg. We looked at that and went, well, we need to do something about that. And we're scrummaging around the vet clinic, collecting pieces of plastic and paddle pop sticks and bandage material. And we actually constructed something that was like a cast for my turkey's toe. And he went home with this amazing contraption on his leg. And every week I brought him back to work and fixed up the wound. He healed fantastically, this turkey. And the final bit of information is he would strut his stuff around my backyard and make all these gobbling noises, and they scrape their feathers on the ground to attract women. It's hilarious. The full turkey display was happening in a suburban house. I would notice people stopping at my front entrance and taking photographs of this turkey. And just before Christmas, I sent him back to my sisters. So everyone thinks I ate him. But I didn't. And that turkey went on to father a whole new generation of turkeys. So we can talk turkey here. What do I love about my career? I love working with animals. I love their innocence and their joy, and I love their unconditional love. I love the fact I keep on learning. I love diversity in my life. I also enjoy face-to-face people contact and relationship building. I've actually been the vet for several families through generations of pets now. I'm, into second and third pets, and we've lived long lives with these pets. What can I tell you in conclusion? I just found a quote in a book that I was reading by Mr. Eddie Yaku, Holocaust survivor, and he wrote a book called The Happiest Man on Earth. One of my vet friends, who's a vet, gave it to me. And I've been reading this book, and I came across a quote that I thought I would finish with today. It says, "There are always miracles in the world, even when all seems hopeless. And when there are no miracles, you can make them happen. With a simple act of kindness, you can save another person from despair, and that might just save their life. And this is the greatest miracle of all."
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That was
My
absolutely
pleasure.
wonderful. I just wanted to ask Norm or Vivi or Lynn, since you're online, do you have any questions, anything that you'd like to say?
You need to unmute yourselves.
Normie, would you like to go first?
We have to unmute them.
Unmute. Yes. Can I tell? I'm still a vet. I'll keep the top on.
Yes.
You have to unmute.
Can you hear now?
We can hear you now, Norm.
That's all right. No, we'd been muted and I had to unmute. Okay. You've been a vet now for many years. I'm not going to ask you how many. I think you did mention in the way past, but I think it was about. Oh, that's good. Looking back now, do you see there would have been any other choice for you on your endeavours? Could you have followed another path? Could you have been a concert pianist?
I love playing piano in public and I love performing, but I could not have missed out on being a vet. So I'm really glad that I can be a vet. I don't have any regrets whatsoever. It's been tough and it still is tough, but I'm delighted to be who I am. I think I'm true to me. And you can still enjoy music always in your life. And I'm probably not good enough to be a concert pianist. Might have been a bit disappointing after 6 hours of piano practice every day. I thought that was going to be a bit tough. So I'm pretty happy that I'm a vet and still able to play the piano at a reasonable level.
At St Anne's, yes.
Or at home secretly when no one can hear me.
Vivi, would you like to ask any questions?
I don't think so. I think you've just about covered everything. It sounds like you're really happy, which is great.
Thanks, Vivi. Lynn?
And I just want to say, when you said don't rush, I thought it reminded me that it was rushing for a bus that caused me to fall and break my leg.
Yeah.
So I'm never rushing again.
That's a lesson, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Lynn, would you like to ask anything?
Yeah, one of the things that I've experienced in my life was using homeopathics with our cat, and in particular the Bach flower essence remedies. She was quite a wussy kind of very housebound cat, and occasionally I put a couple of drops, I think it was impatience essence, into her water. She'd come along, drink a little bit of her water, and then she'd stride to the front door with her tail fully up, bash on the door, so I knew to open the door to let her out. She'd walk down the steps, down the driveway, across the road, establish her territory, shall we say, on the opposite side of the road, come back across the road, up the steps, her tail fully up. Normally she carried her tail quite down. Then she'd walk into my bedroom, jump on the bed and sleep for hours. So I don't know what vets, sort of how they reason Bach flowers or homeopathics working, but they definitely worked on our cat. She had feline lower urethral tract disease most of her life, which we'd normally gone to our local vet and had pumped her full of water and all that kind of thing and painkillers. We tried a homeopathic vet, and that was the last time she ever had an FLUTD attack in her life, was after having the homeopathic treatment. So I don't know how you reason it, but homeopathics work. And the cats don't know what you're doing to them, other than the fact that you're shoving something in them. But they don't know what it's going to do, but it works. It really does.
So I talk about healing a bit like a wheel with spokes coming out. I've got my animal in the middle here and there's something wrong, and I've got all these inputs coming around the outside. We might have antibiotics, maybe some surgery, maybe anti-inflammatories, nutrition, acupuncture, and homeopathics are one of these spokes going in here. And I never know with one patient or the next which thing might be the most effective, but I like people to know and feel that they have opportunity to try these things, and they will if they come to see me. And yeah, I am a massive believer in homeopathics. I've seen too many fantastic things happen. I think as they develop machinery that can measure this nanotechnology machinery, we're actually going to be able to label homeopathics in a tangible way. I think our scientific brain likes to have everything very, very calculable and measurable. And when you get to immeasurable stuff, people just go, oh no, that's too hard, that doesn't work. But there is, there's going to be enough technology to be able to measure something in those homeopathic bottles soon, I reckon, because there is something in them. I'm with you there. Thank you for that, Sharon.
Energy signatures up there.
It's memory of water and the vibrational essence of what you put in there mimics the disease and confuses the body. It thinks, oh, I've got to go over here instead of being sick. It basically diverts it, I believe, but I'm not very good at explaining it. Acupuncture I can explain a little better. They've gone in there with an electron microscope and looked at acupuncture points, and they said, oh, acupuncture points have an increased density of nerve endings and actual blood vessel endings. Now, I'm not poking into a nerve or a blood vessel. I'm poking into a sensitivity point. Oh, we've got a needle. You can't see it, can you? You can't see it. I should have a demo in here. I'll just stuck one in. Oh, there it is. I can do it in it. There it is. Anyone else? See, it's tiny, but it's a sensitivity point. So I might feel something, but it's going to send a signal to my body, and through those nerve endings, that tracks inwards and tells my kidney or my liver or something else to function in a more balanced method. I can't change a body, but I can help the body work better. Oh, hello, down here. Thank you. How many of you have pets? Can I do a survey? Oh, who doesn't have pet now but did have one?
Oh, we have.
Oh, look at this. Oh,
Fish.
very good.
Do they count?
Fish count? They count. Definitely.
Dementia prevention.
But you see, it doesn't matter if you don't have pets. I hope there's still something interesting and entertaining in my life that I could share with you.
I was thinking about you talking about relationships, and I had a friend who bred Burmese cats. So there were always lots of kittens around the place. You'd always tell when she was having trouble with the boyfriend because they'd stop using the litter box and go up into the sink.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, amazing. They're really onto it, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think the psychology of animals is just fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
You know, that you look at a male and a female and you can just see the mind going. And I know it's putting a human interpretation on it, but boy, can you see it happening. It's just amazing.
The whole thing about talking to animals. Yeah, it's interesting because I have the most intelligent cat. It's incredible. There's this knowing.
There's a knowing. Yeah, I think you do know your animal, that's right.
And there's
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, I am.
Can I just ask you to turn that projector off?
When we're done, you're sitting with me.
Thanks very much, Ian.
That's okay.
That's great.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thanks. No,
Oh,
sorry.
so it doesn't burn out.
That's the easy.
From here. Oh, great. Okay.
Yes.
There's my question.
No, that's all right. You can go on. Can you hear Mayo talking? Vivi, Norm, Lynn?
Not really.
Not clear, I can just hear
No,
it,
it's
but not
not
busy.
clear.
Yes,
Where's
because I
your
can't hear.
mic is coming from them?
The microphone's in the camera, so if we move the camera closer to the speaker.
Right, okay. So have you found that the animals, in a sense, tell you what's wrong with them as well?
Have I found that the animals tell me what's wrong with them? Yes. Because your body can't lie. Bodies don't lie. And when you study, like I've done acupuncture, you do Chinese medicine, and it talks about signal points in the body for problems in other organ systems. So these are useful tools for me, which is why I talk so much about observation and clinical examination. To the extent that they will tell me a word or something, no, but I will get a vibe. You watch an animal when it comes in. Is it holding itself hunched? Is it shaking? Is it avoiding contact with you? Is it keen to be loved? And we'll just have to work through it. I actually know a lady, and she is an animal communicator, and she teaches that animal communication. I acupuncture her cat, so that's an interesting thing. I was there the other day. Yeah, so they tell me what's wrong in a kind of a way. Body language, the signal points in the body from where I palpate or touch them. And I'll get a pretty good idea before I run a test. I'm happy to run tests. There's nothing wrong with running tests, but be vigilant with what you do in observation first, so you kind of have a better idea. And yeah, you do have to keep looking at them too. So do you feel better? They'll show you. Yeah, it's really interesting. Keep looking.
What tests do you do?
Oh, we might run blood tests, we might x-ray, we might send them off to a specialist if we can't think of anything else. Same as usual, yeah, the usual stuff. Sometimes we might test a treatment plan, see if it helped, you know, because, oh, it's wonderful. Humans talk, but animals, they don't talk in that sense. You've got to be very good at touching them and find what's wrong, or really listen to what they're telling you in that bigger picture way. Yeah.
And can I ask why animals and not humans?
For me, I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good question, isn't it? Because I really
What's the question?
Why animals, not humans? But I actually get both this way. It's a win-win. You get to laugh at my bad jokes, and the animals get my tender touch.
I'm a psychologist, and I remember a couple of years ago, a manatee got ill at the aquarium.
Oh,
And
wow.
I had to counsel 5 staff members
Oh,
who
yes.
tried to hold it when it was dying in the water.
Would have been
When it
tragic.
did die,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
everyone had to do grief.
I bet they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it.
And we are grief counsellors to many of our pet owners. We'll have them come in after a pet's died, and we have, you know, we spend time with them. We're not grief counsellors, but we do our best. It's all we can do. And it seems to be very helpful. Obviously, we've had that relationship with someone and we've had that journey, and it's not easy when the end comes. But if we've done that as best we can and made the journey as dignified and peaceful as we can be satisfied. We've done our best.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm always amazed about the resilience of animals too. People come in with these like rescue creatures that have been through terrible traumas, and you know, you give them a bit of love and a good home, and what these animals then become is so inspirational, you know. I think they're really, and I see, oh gosh, I just gave that dog an ovariohysterectomy and she's walking out the door.
It's incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Can I just say, in fact, we had a little chihuahua that was hit by a 4-wheel drive, and I think Andy and Matthew were home at the time, and they picked up this little chihuahua and took her to the vet. The vet took one look at her and said, look, I don't think she's going to survive the night. She was that badly hurt. And Matt and Andy were so moved by this poor little animal that they stayed with her in the vet, and the vet was really lovely. She allowed them to stay. And both boys stayed with this dog and just petted this dog all night. And when the vet came in the morning, the dog was still alive. And the vet was so shocked that the dog was still alive that she agreed to actually operate on this dog. And I was in tears because I didn't have the money to do anything. And she gave me 18 months to pay her off. She was magnificent.
Wow.
The dog lived.
Yay!
And that was just amazing. And I think, you know, shows you the power of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, with 3 legs.
Three legs,
She
yes.
had to cut off the back leg because I hate to say it, but that was the cheapest way.
That's all right, I understand.
And she said that because she was such a little dog and she was so light on her feet, it wouldn't bother her at all.
Yeah, that's
And she
right.
would go charging up the road,
As
you know, on her
yeah.
3 legs. And the worst of it was that I spent the next 18 months paying off these bills, and I'd call her and she'd turn around when she's up on the top of the street. She'd look at me, she'd see me, and she'd just turn around and keep walking. Whereas Ashy would call her, she'd turn around, see that it was Ash, and make a beeline for him. So much for me.
So much for you.
I'm not allowed to tell a 30-second story.
Go ahead, Doug.
Go on.
Some years ago, I had a border collie whose name was Rastus. I called him Rastus because he was black. So anyway, he was a very magnificent dog, looking dog. And so a local neighbour of ours had a female decided to mate the 2 of them together, which they did out in the backyard. So they did all this and whilst carrying on. And so at the end of it, Rastus couldn't disengage himself from the female dog, and he was howling, really howling. So I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I rang my mate, Paul Pemberton, the vet. That's anyone who knows about the Mike Walsh show knows about Paul Pemberton. So I rang Paul, I said, what do I do? What do I do? And he said, well, what you do? I said, do I throw a bucket of water at him? And he said, no, that's only going to make him feel cold. What you do is you pour yourself a stiff Scotch whiskey and you drink it. And I said, what do I do after that? He said, well, then you pour another Scotch whiskey and you drink that. I said, oh, is that what I did? So I went out the backyard.
I had numerous after-hours calls about that. Help, they're stuck together.
Yeah, I know. You know, I think I've told you about Paul.
Yes.
Does anybody know
Yeah.
Paul from the...
Oh, some people
Mike
may
Walsh
not
show?
know. You may as well tell that story.
Oh, well, only that I went to school with him. We're in the same class. blah, blah. And he became, his father wouldn't, he came from a chemist in Shell Harbour, and his father refused. He was a very good student, Paul, and he refused to let Paul become a doctor. He said, no, you're going to have too many troubles, just become a vet or something else like that. So he became a vet. And he wound up being the veterinary surgeon for most of the greyhound owners around Sydney, some of the horse owners around Sydney, and of course he became a pet vet in the paper, in the Women's Weekly. It was in the Women's Weekly, what am I saying? Women's Weekly, so he was had an article on that, dear pet vet, what do I do with my dog, da, da, da. So he became the pet vet on the Mike Walsh show. Shall I go on?
No, so that's.
So I'm finished.
His father was good. His father was good.
Yeah. He
He got him in the
used
right
to bring in
direction.
different animals every week and to see show Mike. And one day brought in 2 rabbits. I told you the story. He brought in 2 rabbits, and they are kitties, these 2 lovely little bunny rabbits, and put them on the ground. He went round behind.
Actually, talk louder.
Sorry, I put the 2 rabbits on the floor. And they went round behind Mike Walsh's chair and started to do what rabbits do.
Nice.
And the cameras naturally came right after them. And the camera over Sydney was the performance of these 2 little bunny rabbits doing what bunny rabbits do. And he became very famous. Sadly, he died at the age of 55, I think. And,
Very young.
But he had, funnily enough, he had a wife, which he divorced, but they did have 3 kids. He met a woman who also had 3 kids, and he wound up with a practice up in Avalon Parade, up in Avalon, where they had this house, huge bloody house. You can imagine it, 6 kids. Instant family. So anyway, that's my mate Paul. God bless you, buddy.
Thanks,
Thanks. The question is the difference between animals that are highly inbred and, well, animals that have at least 2, like a crossbreed. I've noticed a major difference, especially with intelligence, with the crossbreed to the inbreds. Have you noticed that? Especially the show cats and things like that.
Show animals are specially selected to be very positive, almost dominant animals, that they like performing and they like to hold themselves beautifully for the show ring. So if you keep selecting that style of animal, you can end up getting them a bit bordering on aggression. It's interesting, that sort of selection. I find there's more genetic problems in purebreds, but we can document them over a period of time. I wouldn't say there's an intelligence difference necessarily, because intelligence is a big word for a lot of things. I think all animals have got some kind of intelligence. I, for example, had a standard poodle, which is noted to be apparently very intelligent. She did not appear intelligent, this dog, and she probably was inbred, if you like, but she knew how to procure food from very interesting surfaces. If I went out and I had a loaf of bread ready for lunch on the bench, it would go and I would come home. I wondered how this dog got up there, but she'd reach up and put her nose up. So anything to do with food, and she was highly intelligent. Anything to do with calling her in the street, she was as dumb as dumb. She ran away. And she was very intelligent. So I'm not really sure. I think you get hybrid vigour when you breed amongst different lineage and good breeders are always seeking new input. They might, with these days, you can draw from all over the place. Maybe you can't with COVID, but there's a lot of, frozen semen that can come around. You can improve your herds and your flocks and your bloodlines and good breeders are working to that all the time. So I would just say to people, if you're going to get a pet from a breeder, that's fine. I haven't done that yet in my life, but it's probably going to happen one day. But if you go there and everything's clean and the animals seem happy, it's probably a good indication, especially a breeder that really cares who you are and what you're going to do with their pets. I think they take a personal interest, they really care.
Wow.
And there's something to be said about breeding a breed to type, because then people know what size dog they're going to get or what style of cat they're going to take on. I do have friends, I told you about my friends that took Bengal cats. Now, Bengal cats are the only cats that like swimming. They love water.
Wow.
And they went to live on a yacht with 2 Bengal cats. One of them was true to breed and did a lot of swimming and is now dead. And the other cat is not true to breed and is still alive. So there you go. I mean, honestly, drowned. It swam to shore several times, that cat, and then eventually was washed up dead. So, but this cat was remarkable, would jump in and swim. I'm thinking, if I'm going to get a Bengal cat, I'm not going to live on a yacht. But that's information, from the breed type that's helpful.
No,
Equally, if I'm going to get a German Shepherd, I know he's going to be a big guy. I probably won't have him in an apartment. And he sheds a lot of hair and he's a big guy. So you can, or if I've got allergies, I might seek a dog that's crossbred with a poodle that's less likely to shed hair around the place or is in those lineages that don't shed. So lots of information can be very helpful to people with the breeding.
Well, I had a terrible experience with I liked Abyssinian cats, and I saw some at a show, and I thought they looked very good, and I liked the nature of the cats and everything. So I finally went and bought one from an owner. But that cat, well, it had never been outside, but for some reason it also wasn't good inside either.
Whoops.
And then it was like they must have been kept in rooms all the time, small rooms or something, because when it had the house, it just went a bit crazy. And then he said, oh, she needs or he needs a mate. So he said, look, you take the sister and see how it goes. Wow, well, that was even worse. So I was shredding all my plants, ruining the house. I just thought, what on earth? I've never had so much trouble. So the sister went back, and then the male cat that I kept was like a dog. He could not be alone. If I left the house, he would just find a way to get out. No matter how locked up the house was, he would get out. And this cat cost me, right? And then I come home one night and I hear this very faint meow, and there it is, it's been run over, but still alive. So that's rushed, to the vet, thousands later. The cat somehow gets out again, it gets lost. I put notices up, I finally get the cat back. Within months again, the cat now is dead on the road. And I just thought, there's something about the inbreeding that I get on with cats. I've always had cats. I can always, communicate, work together, I train, everything, but I just couldn't do it with these ones.
No.
So then I said to myself, I am going to, a cat refuge or something and find an Abyssinian crossbred. And then everything was absolutely amazing. That cat was incredible. It was like having a little person around the house.
Well,
So,
as you can see, they're all different.
and
just
it
like
lasted
us.
15 plus years and no vet.
Every cat, every dog, every ferret, we're all different. Every human, it's the most remarkable thing. And that's a bit of a luck of the draw, isn't it? You think you're going to get something perfect from a breeder, and that's not always possible. I've rescued a few animals, obviously. All I can say about my rescue animals is I'm sure they knew they were rescued and they were very grateful.
Yes, why not? I had a dog rather, a black, I don't know what she was, but I named her Constance, and she was a smart dog. First of all, she dominated the Labrador that we had. And the Labrador was all lollopy and she'd like sit on my lap. And when I was trying to watch television, it would lean because it liked me to breathe on its neck, and it would sometimes just fall off because. But Constance had she was bred in the house, and she was much smaller, but she was very fast and very smart. And one night we had a roast lamb, and I put the rest of the roast lamb up on the refrigerator to let it cool. And we were living in one of those terrace houses, you know, with a long corridor to the front door. And as I'm doing things, putting things away, Constance comes in with her toy, and she's gets me to play with it. And so she's pulling on the toy and has pulled me all the way up to the front door. And when she got there, she let go and she went flying down past the refrigerator at shoulder height and took the entire roast lamb out into the backyard.
You didn't get a roast that night. Oh dear. We've always had Siamese cats, and they've been the most, I mean, it's the closest thing I think you can ever get to a dog. And so I've grown up with Siamese cats. My brother has just returned from overseas, and he has, as of 2 weeks ago, got himself a Siamese, which was specially chosen for its nature, you know, from a dealer who specialises in their loving nature. And he's got a Russian blue coming the beginning of March, also because of its nature. Now, when my brother and I got together, we spoke about the Siamese cats that we'd had, and we both had to agree that the male Siamese cat was the exceptional one. The females were nasty pieces of work. And, you know, that was sort of a history of sort of a few generations of cats, but we had that experience that it was the male Suki Siamese, and it's not as though they'd come from different breeders, because we used the one lady that we knew for many, many generations, because she was so good with these Siamese cats. But the females, so they came from the same stock. You know, you can't say that it was the male, a different stock.
Generally, I think male cats are a bit more placid than female cats.
Yes.
On the whole.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't know. But I will tell you something about Siamese. If I have a Siamese in the vet clinic, my trick is don't try and restrain it. No. You can just gently raise the vein and sneak a needle in. Yeah. Don't try and overpower a Siamese cat. They have this aura about them, and they run the place. They do. But I can probably give an intravenous injection single-handedly, so long as you don't ruffle it up. Just go nice and easy. Yeah, fascinating cats. Abyssinians, they're supposed to be super intelligent. I was think your one was super intelligent.
It was.
Overthinking life. Overthinking life. So you can think too hard.
Yes. This one was just, it just somehow tuned into whatever and knew whatever was going on.
Overdoing it, wasn't it?
No, not at all.
It couldn't focus.
Oh, you're talking about the problem one. The inbreds. Yeah, the inbreds were. I just think either they were very, I don't know, maybe they were taking too much away from their nature by the way they were bred, and maybe I think they must have all been kept in confined areas. And then when they came actually to our house, they couldn't, assimilate to the house. Whereas the one that was, a crossbred and was pretty, taken to, a refuge.
That's the thing, it needed help. The other one didn't need any help.
No, but it didn't have any problem communicating, connecting, assimilating. You could actually really work well with this cat. Yeah. But the others, I think something was amiss emotionally and psychologically with the inbreds. And
I think it's sad when they breed, when cats, as I said with my brother, he specifically went looking for the old-fashioned big Siamese that's fat in the face, not these skinny runts with the skinny tail and the long snout that seems to be in fashion now. And we're interfering. I
I
don't,
think so sometimes.
Yes,
There is
much
something.
of engineering there.
it is, it's being engineered. I've got Juggles, my dogs. And, you know, that was, I mean, I love the pug nature, but they can't breathe. You've got no energy.
No,
So
it's a good
you,
cross, isn't it?
you cross them
Opening
with
up
a
the airways.
Jack
It's a
Russell
Jack
and
Russell, yeah.
you get
It's good.
a miniature boxer.
Can breathe a bit.
Yes.
Do you get many mice as patients?
Mice.
Yeah.
I have a great mouse story. Are you this? So I was in the UK, and this lady came in, very busy evening of consulting, and she had a plastic container, and in she walked and plonked it on the desk and said, "We have a population problem." And there were 20 brown mice inside the container, and she said, "They're just breeding out of all proportion." So I said, right, let's get 2 pots, and we'd lift each one up, and male or female pots. I did this once, and I had 2 selections of mice, and I said, I'm going to go again. Checked everyone again, and I had a couple wrong. So I'm telling you now, be very careful with mice. My brother bred them. We see rats, mice, ferrets, not a lot of mice so much these days, but they're quite a popular children's pet. They stink.
Well, you know, that reminded me, because when I was learning piano, I used to be in the morning before I went to school, you know, sitting there doing my thing. And my mother would come in and she'd start to talk to me, and then she would absolutely back off because I had mice in all my pockets. Come out. When I got to 94, my father decided that I was going to have to cull them because they did breed a lot.
Yeah.
But they were such pretty colours.
Yeah, that's some amazing colours. Yeah, I know. My brother used to breed mice, and we had such a population issue that he found he could sell them for snake food. No. That's what brothers do.
Oh my goodness.
Pocket money.
Yesterday, I think we were adopted by a lizard.
Yes.
So it arrived in the garage yesterday and crawled in. I only saw the back half, which is that big, so I went to the front half of it like that. My question is, will it die in the garage? Will it?
How did it get in? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, my shoe. I came home from whenever I was out. I was shopping or something like that. I just got out of the car and I just saw a stripy tail.
I mean, they can fit through a pretty small gut. Do you reckon they can squeeze
Oh, well, it's
through a
garage
gut?
door, I suppose.
Probably squeeze through that. Anyway, it can make its way out again. You know, they live between rock crevices.
Yeah,
so you'd be amazed where they can
I've got
squeeze.
bloody monitors, you know, those things that run like
Oh,
this.
yeah, no, not one of those. Smaller. Look at the head size. That'll be really fit.
Seriously, you know, we got a family with those bloody things up in Crammy, you know, so what do I do with this bloody lizard?
Oh, leave it be. Let it be. I think it'll let it be.
Song.
I'll leave the door open.
I think, yeah, you could leave
That's
the door.
what I did actually.
Yeah, you just leave the door open. I think it'll just rummage around.
Do they eat base guitar amplifiers?
No, you'll be right. Amplifier will be safe.
I've got a few.
You might have an ant problem.
No ant problems.
Or an ant or whatever.
Yes, don't have one.
Ants or ants.
Vivi,
Oh.
Norm, Lynn, would you like to say anything else at this stage?
I'd just like to say how much I've enjoyed hearing from Tamara. I really have. I've loved hearing a vet speak so passionately about their profession and what they do. It really has been.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really great. And Catherine, don't get locked in again.
Locked in, yes. Well, we're going to be going shortly, yes. Norm?
Look, thank you for the talk. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Just one little comment about the difference between animals. Jersey cows are some of the friendliest and most easy cows to milk, except they will kick. But you can overcome. They're not bad kicks. Jersey bulls are things you stay away from. They are bad-tempered. They are aggressive. They don't like other animals. They don't like people. But the cows are really friendly and easy to get on with. And thank you for the talk. I enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
You'll have to come over next time, Norm and Vivi. Hope you're going to be better next time to come over.
Should be.
Can I also say, Lynn is going to be talking to us in April, and you'll see the little sign at the back there, Toastmasters. That's what she's going to talk to us about.
I thought that
Which
was
will be
May.
great. Sorry?
I thought that was May.
May, sorry, yes. Yes, it is May. Sorry, Lynn. Yes, it is May. And we've got Belinda Kong in April, and we've got Julie Costello in March, and hopefully you, Jenny, in February. Is that all right? Next month?
Lovely.
Yes, that'll be great. And we've got Greg in August, and Ruan in June. Yes. So I'm just trying to get some speakers now for September, October, November, and I've just asked Miss Tian if she'd like to share some of her experiences. I have to say, I can say fascinating things about everyone in this room. And Tian comes up with the most amazing costumes and sense of fun that I've ever come across. And I think it would be good to have some fun in September.
Sounds like a good thing to do.
And Wendy, maybe you could talk to us in October.
Okay.
Be good? Down, Wendy. Thanks for that. See, I just got an immediate okay, Mr. Young. Not I have to think about it. Thanks, Wendy.
I mean to say, you know,
It's fabulous talk.
Thank
you,
Yes,
you're
great.
really great.
Thank you. Fantastic fun. Thank you very much.
I'm going to leave now.
Tamara, we never, ever wrap presents.
Oh, got a bag. Just give me a bag. What's in the bag?
Well, you'll have to find out.
Oh,
it's not moving.
it's not moving. Oh, how lovely. Look at this. Do I pull it out now?
Yeah.
It's different. Oh, look at this. Oh, wow. It's not moving. It's beautiful. Wow. Oh, is that, but there's more.
I thought that would be Chloe.
Oh, I might use that, don't you? I might give it to her. You never know. Thank you very much, Kathy.
You're welcome. And we'll take you to dinner. So, Miss Peggy, you would like us to go to
City tax.
City Tax? Yes. Are we okay to go to City Tax, everyone?
Sure.
Yes.
Just a walk down.
So we can walk down to City Tax? Yes. And where are we going in City Tax?
We're going to find a bistro and a drink. There's several bars, but it's got some varieties. And
I haven't been there for a while, so
right.
it's not the restaurant.
No.
Knows this, so I don't know. Well, you'll have
Well,
to
we'll
take
check
this.
it out because with COVID, anything can happen.
Yeah.
There've been so many changes, yes. But if we find something along the way that someone likes, well, there you
Well,
go.
there is a restaurant across the road, but it is expensive.
It was so hard to get a table.
Yeah.
To wait.
Yeah, City Tax, okay. City Tax it is.
Bye all.
So who will be coming? Ruwan, are you coming?
Bye.
No.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks very much. Greg, you coming? No, you're leaving. Jenny? Yes. Wendy, are you coming?
Yeah.
Yes. And Leslie, are you coming now?